song about it. It's the song there.
So is this
Fuck
the
that.
party?
Oh, crap. Did they write the whole song? No.
Okay, guys.
The one.
My dad. I know.
Our number one. Ready, number one?
All right, today, the rest of the week, we're going to be doing review for the benchmark on Monday. Okay, next Monday and Tuesday we'll be meeting in the computer lab over here and doing the benchmark. You'll have plenty of time because we have at least the 2 days. If we need Wednesday, we'll use Wednesday also. Okay, so remembering that, Wednesday next week is a short day. Because next week, Wednesday night, is parent conferences. So you guys get out early so that we have to be here in the evening, afternoon and evening for your parents. So we're going to, again, the rest of this week, we're going to be reviewing types of questions that you can expect on the benchmark. There's 30 questions on the benchmark. That's it. We've covered 6 standards. There's 5 questions per standard. Most of you did really good with the plotting, the dot plots, the box and whiskers, and the histograms. I haven't looked at your one from yesterday yet, but I will get that done as quickly as I can. So, let's go over these. Solve for x squared plus 3 equals 28. Or equals 20. Yeah, x squared plus 3 equals 28. David?
I have 5.
Okay, just 5?
5x. X equals 5. X squared equals 5. X squared equals 5. X equals 5. Yeah, x equals 5.
Okay,
Equals 5x.
stop. Okay, let's look at this. Let's look at this, guys, because there was one of the tests that we've taken in here that a lot of you missed the answer because you weren't paying attention to it. Okay. You're right, almost. We're going to subtract 3 from both sides. So I have x squared equals 25. X squared equals 25. So to solve for x, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Okay, when you're taking the square root of something that's squared, the square and the square root cancel each other out. So we have, in this case, the square root and the square cancel each other out, which leaves us with x equals, and the square root of 25, like David said, is 5. But is it just 5?
Yes.
X equals 5.
It's
Damn. Which else?
Plus or minus 5.
plus or minus 5, because negative 5 squared is also 25. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, there was on one of the tests, a lot of you missed the problem because it had a very similar answer. It had like plus or minus 5 and it had 5. And you guys all went for the 5 and it was plus or minus 5. Remember, whenever you're taking a square root, it can be a positive or a negative. So, on number 2, we're solving for the zeros. Solving for the zeros.
There's only one zero.
Okay, so when we solve for the zeros, what's the first thing we have to do? This is a quadratic equation because it's x squared. So I have to find what? My factors. I have to find my factors. So we can start out with doing the easy way, in my opinion, the easy way. Okay, we know that we're going to have, if we just factor it, we're going to have x and x, because x times x is x squared. We have a minus and a plus, so what are my signs going to be? What did you say, Carson?
Minus and plus.
Plus.
Plus and minus. Plus and plus.
Minus and minus.
Minus, minus. So it's that.
It's going to be minus and a minus, because just like I said up here, a negative times a negative will give you a positive. And a negative plus a negative will give you a negative. So now I find my factors of this number over here. So I have 6 and 1, 3 and 2. Okay, because if these were all negatives, if I had negative 6 plus negative 1, would that give me negative 5? Negative 3 plus negative 2?
Yeah.
So I've got x minus 3 and x minus 2. I'm factored it. Have I found my zeros?
No.
No.
No, I haven't. I've factored it. So to find the zeros, now I take and set x minus 3 equals 0, and x minus 2 equals 0, and solve for x.
Wait, there's a zeros.
I set each part of the equation to 0, to equal to 0, and then I solve for x. So x minus 3 equals 0, what's x equal? I add 3, so x equals 3. Over here I add 2 to both sides, so x equals 2. So I have 3 and 2. Or 3, 0, 2, 0. 3, 0, and 2, 0. If I was going to graph this equation, what figure would I have on my graph paper? Would I have a circle, a loop-de-loop, a square, a straight line?
A loop-de-loop.
Loop-de-loop, yeah.
It's a quadratic. It's a quadratic. So that means I would have a parabola. I would have a parabola. So is it going to be a U parabola, or is it going to be a camel hump
A
parabola?
U.
Camel.
U.
It's 5x. It's gonna be a U.
Because this is positive. Because this is a positive, the coefficient of x squared is positive, I'm going to have a U. A positive coefficient, or a positive A, gives me a U. If I have a negative coefficient of x squared, or a negative A, I'm going to have a camel hump. This tells me where that U is going to cross my x-axis. So with this, I know that it's going to be pretty close to. Okay, so it's going to cross at 2, 0, and 3, 0. See how much information you can derive out of this little bit of work? How much you can derive out of that? And you have a question, and we'll have to on the benchmark, if it asks for solve for the zeros, it should give you a choice of answers like this. Since I don't see the test before you guys do, I can't verify that it may be this. It may be x equals 3 or 2, or it may just give you a 3, 2 for your choice because they're multiple choice. So know that there's different ways that they can put that answer. You want the one that's the best. You want the one that's the best. Number 3, we're going to solve x squared minus 8 equals negative 2x. So what are we going to be looking for when it says that? When it says solve? The value of x. Okay, we're looking for the value of x, which is the same thing as what we did here, which is solve for the zeros. It's just worded in just the value of x. So what's my first step that I have to do on this, Zoe? I have to add 2x to both sides, so that cancels and gives me x squared plus 2x minus 8 equals 0. Now I can do the same thing I did up here, right? I can factor. Okay, I have a plus and a minus, so what do I know my signs are going to be? Plus and minus. So now I factor my 8. I have 8 and 1, 4 and 2. 8 minus 1 equal 2. No, does 1 minus 8 equal 2? So then we'll try 4 and 2. Plus 4 minus 2 equals 2. So I've got x plus 4, x minus 2. X plus 4, x minus 2. So what are my solutions for x? What does x equal? Plus 4 equals 0. Subtract 4. X equals negative 4. And x minus 2 equals 0. Add 2. X equals 2. So my solution for x is negative 4 and 2. Negative 4 and 2. Again, if I was going to graph this, would I have a U or a camel hump?
U.
Yeah, it'd be a U because it's A is positive. Okay, now number 4. You guys get this one worked out? Because we can't just factor this. So if we can't just factor it, then what do we have to use? We have to use the quadratic formula. We all remember that, right? Make sure you know that formula going into the test.
Is it X or Y?
We're solving for x usually. So x equals negative b plus or minus the square root. So while you're taking that test, Sierra breaks out in song. And you know that she's got no problem with the party.
Yes.
All of you need practice on doing this. Working this out using the quadratic formula. All of you need practice.
A, B, C, D. So, 1,
A equals 1, B equals 4, C equals 6.
As far as I can go.
B squared.
10 minutes to explain.
Okay, who came up with something that was kind of different?
8.
Let's see, we've got, we've got -4 plus or minus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 6 divided by 2 times 1.
Yep.
Joey,
What?
pay attention? So then, my next step from here, which a lot of you got through, was -4 plus or minus the square root of 16 minus 24
Oh, yeah.
divided by 2. Now, what's 16 minus 24? -8.
I don't understand.
So we have -4 plus or minus the square root of -8 over 2. Okay? If we worked with a negative number
No.
under the radical,
No.
well, that's algebra 2.
As
Wait, that's
far as I
possible?
got, I
Yeah, it is.
I didn't even know we could do this with
But-
numbers.
At the algebra 1 level, what we can do, guys, Zoe, do you want to pay attention because you didn't know how to do this? Okay, what we can do still at our level is we can reduce that -8 to something that we can work with. So we have -4 plus or minus, and -8 is 4 times -2. So the square root of 4 times the square root of -2 divided by 2,
So it's
which now takes us to -4 plus or minus, and the square root of 4 is 2 square root of -2 divided by 2. And now I can reduce it because 2 goes into both of these numbers. 2 goes into -4, -2 times, so -2 plus or minus the square root of -2.
So confusing.
about the possible one.
Okay, so
That's the answer.
that's the answer at this point. We can actually do more with it.
I have that.
Oh, really?
Okay, you can actually do, and when you get into algebra 2, you will learn that you can actually do more with that because you can take the square root of a negative number. Okay, takes a little bit, it's just handled differently. It's what we call an imaginary number. All right, so number 5. Alize, number 5.
X equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2.
Okay, yep.
Correct.
All right, so all of you should know that. All right. Any questions on these 5 problems? Okay. We're going to continue this week. Like I said, we're just going to review problems that we've covered, material we've covered so far this quarter.